Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. A couple of weeks ago I put out a video asking if you guys had any suggestions for videos, and I have had some requests. So today's video is from a subscriber who was inquiring about how to clean your brushes. So really early on in my video career I did a brush selection or a brush review, kind of telling you guys about certain brushes that I liked. So today what we're going to talk about is how to clean those brushes appropriately and make them last. So when you're painting, there's all sorts of different price range brushes that you can choose from the very introductory of like, well, really inexpensive, from like a chip brush, which I wouldn't recommend painting, and I'm going to show you what that is, up to like a $40 brush. So I've got kind of a range of brushes today, and we're going to talk about how you clean them and what the proper storage procedures are for the brushes to make them last the longest. Now, I'm a huge advocate of good tools produce a good product. So I've got some really nice brushes, and I've got several of them. So when I first started, I started with, I think it was like Lowe's or Home Depot, which was the Purdy brand, which I really do like, and I still use today. It's a nice quality brush at a good price point. And then as I started painting and reading more and trying to get the actual best finish that I could, I started trying out different brushes, and I kind of found the ones that I really like. So I'm going to go over all the brushes today that I have. We're going to talk about how each one is a little different, how you can clean them, how you can store them, because each one has kind of like their own thing, and some have none. Some will tell you nothing about how to store them. The higher end brushes that you're going to spend more money on are going to usually give you an instruction of how you should clean them and what to clean them with. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn the camera around so that we can talk about each of the products, and you can look up close, and I'll show you all the products that I use to clean my brushes. Not all at once, not all the time. Some I use different products on, and some I don't use, but maybe every so often if I have done the cardinal sin, and that is leave a brush overnight with paint in it accidentally because I was so tired in the sink and I didn't wash it out. I have totally done that, and I thought, oh my god, I just ruined this brush, and that's not the case. You can rescue a brush, so I'm going to show you how. Okay guys, so let's talk brushes. So the first brush I want to talk about is this chip brush. I mentioned it earlier in the very first segment of the video. And what is a chip brush? For those of you that don't know, they're kind of like a throwaway brush. They're a brush I would not recommend. As a matter of fact, I will definitely not recommend painting a piece with a chip brush. One major reason is the hairs fall out. They're very thin. There's not a lot to them. So the best way to clean a chip brush, toss it. So some of you might think that's not very economical. However, they're a very, very inexpensive brush. You can get probably a whole box of them for like $12.95, and they do have their good uses. Sometimes I use these for dry brushing. I've used them for priming when I don't want to get one of my nice good brushes full of primer. Primer is really hard to clean off, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, so these are really good for that. And then you just toss them. So that's a chip brush. So the next brush I want to talk about is this one here. This is a Wooster brush. I believe it's Lowe's, Home Depot you can buy these at. These are good brushes. I believe this is the Pro line. And these brushes you can basically clean with soap and water. Easy cleanup. They're a synthetic brush. And they're actually a really good brush. What I use to clean a brush like this, Dawn soap. I know. Dawn soap is great. Dawn soap is got a great cleaning agent in it that will not harm your brushes. So Dawn soap for something like this, awesome. And then we have, as you kind of go up in price point on brushes, some of the brush lines recommend different ways to keep your brushes really long lasting, cleaning them the right way. So I'm going to talk about the Stahlmeister brush. This brush here is an excellent brush. It is one of the ones that I use often, and to clean these is a little different. What I like to do is I clean off with just warm water, get out as much paint as I can, and then soak it. So a lot of times you can just leave this for about 30 minutes in a cup and soak it. The other thing that you can use is this, which is the Yeah, I thought I had it upside down. It's the Fusion Brush Cleaner, and I really do like this. Let me show you guys this up close. This is the Fusion Brush Cleaner. I believe, I'm looking for a price on it. I believe it retails for about $9.95, but I might be a little bit off. It's been a while since I bought this. This is a really great cleaner. It's environmentally friendly. It will not harm your skin. So you can clean this to actually clean the paint off your skin, which I've done, and it's a great cleaner. So I get this at my Fusion retailer, and they also sell the Stahlmeister brushes. So they kind of go one in one, or hand in hand, I should say, not one in one. And it's a really great brush cleaner. This is probably my third or fourth tube that I've used, and I do use it often. The one thing I don't care for about this cleaner is the packaging. It has this pop top and it's a squeeze tube, but it's not very conducive to getting wet, and it kind of just, after a while, it's kind of messy. So what I do, I don't use that. I just pop the top off and squeeze out the appropriate amount that I need into my hands, and then I wash my brush in my hands with it. It tends to keep the packaging a little bit less messy, if you will. So there's that, the Fusion Brush Cleaner. The other thing that you can use, and I just want to talk about this because if you use anything oil-based, that is very hard to get out of your brushes. When we're talking about washing your brushes and you're using a water-based paint, these products are great. When you have an oil-based, let's just say a primer, for instance, and you've used a good brush, you really need to clean that brush. The oil-based products will stick a lot more and not come out as nicely. So back behind me here, I have my mineral spirits. Now you can use that. It is used to clean up paint, and it is really good. The one thing I would recommend if you're going to be using that, wear gloves, because mineral spirits can be hard on your skin if you're really sensitive. It might, cause some issues for you. It's very drying. And so, yeah, if you're going to use mineral spirits, which you absolutely can, it will not harm the brush in any way. And it is intended to remove paint from surfaces and brushes and whatnot. The other thing you can do is, I mentioned how I had left a brush overnight in the sink, literally was stuck to the sink with dried on, caked on paint, and that was one of my Klingon brushes. The next day, what I did was took a large jar, I submersed it in the mineral spirits, and I let it soak. As soon as I let that soak for a few hours, I took it out, and then I just rinsed like crazy, and it was fine. So that is a lifesaver if you think you have ruined a brush. Mineral spirits, great idea. And then you can use one of these. This is a nylon brush. I don't use the wire brushes because they're a little harsh, and I worry about damaging the bristle hairs with such a rough brush. But these little wire brushes, I got this one at Home Depot. These are great if you've got some really stuck on areas. After you've soaked your brush, or maybe you used your Dawn or your Fusion cleaner and you just feel like it's not clean enough. You still see some paint stuck on some of the brush hairs. Use this, gently rub, go away from your brush. Don't go back and forth because you don't want to bring those bristles back and fray the brush out. You just want to go with the direction of the bristle hairs out. So these are really helpful when you've got some really tough stuck on paint on your brush. And then Klingon brushes. So these little guys I have in mason jars full of water. So there's different ways to clean a Klingon brush, and there's different ways to store a Klingon brush. The way that the company recommends, and this is how I do it, is I rinse my brush completely with water. Just rinse, rinse, rinse. Usually takes a good 2 minutes to kind of really, depending on how much paint you have in your brush, get that paint out. Then what I do is just kind of squeeze it out with my hand, and I submerge it in a jar of water. And this brush I used yesterday, and so now it's ready to come out of total submersion. And this is how I store them, with the tips, if you can see that, with the tips in the water. So I kind of pull the brush up and just let the tips dangle, and that's how you store them. And I gotta tell you, when you have a brush that's full of paint, you rinse it out, you think it's clean, You go put it and you submerge it in water overnight or for a few hours, and all of this water turns your paint color. It's amazing how much paint is still stuck in that brush. So this is an awesome way to make sure your brushes are clean. With Klingon, it also preserves the brush because if you hang them or you set them like this, what happens is those brushes can tend to fan out because your water's draining and it's heavier here. And then also, when you think you've cleaned it, I've done this before, you come back the next day and it's crispy. Have any of you ever had that happen? It's because you still have product left in there. So for me, the best way to clean a brush, you can use all these products, but water, keep it submerged in the water, and then you can go back and rinse it again. And I guarantee you're going to have nothing left in there. There will be no paint and your brush will be extremely soft. So this brush is pretty new, as you can tell. You can tell the difference between my used brushes when you look at these handles versus this one. But it's important to keep the brush bristles as clean and beautiful as possible. Handles, I don't worry about, So I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Oh, I do want to mention one other thing. Storing other brushes. The best way to store brushes, and I do it behind me here on my backer board, is I take these holes are here for a reason, not just for when they're hanging in a store, but you can hang your brushes. So when you are cleaning your brushes, do not store them this way, store them this way. So if you don't have anywhere to hang them, find somewhere. Get a little nail, hang your brush. It's the best way to store them because all that water will drip down. And it won't, like I said, the heaviness and the weight won't drip this way and tend to make the brush fan out. So there you go. Now, I'd like to say thank you so much for subscribing. Keep subscribing so you can get all of my videos. I appreciate the subscriber suggestion for this video. I hope it was helpful for you guys. And if you have any other suggestions, you can always put them down below. Questions, comments, all that good stuff. I'll make sure I answer you. So thanks for watching today, you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.